Picture a quiet street. You know the one. Perfect green lawns, a car sitting in every driveway, maybe some kids playing on the sidewalk. It feels permanent, right? Like it's always been there. But what if I told you this entire landscape, the American suburb, isn't natural at all? What if it's one of the biggest, most ambitious social experiments in modern history? It didn't just happen, it was designed. But that begs the question, if it was designed, what was it designed to do? And more importantly, who was it designed for? Welcome to the Chronicler's Desk. Today, we're pulling back the blueprints on the suburbs, from the incredible dream they promised to the hidden costs we are still paying. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's rewind. World War II is over. America is on top of the world, just buzzing with optimism. Millions of soldiers are coming home, the economy is starting to boom, and the country felt it had a promise to keep. Every person who sacrificed should get a piece of the good life. And that promise took a very specific physical shape. A single-family home, a yard, a quiet street. It was the American dream in a box you could own.
Now, a dream that big doesn't just happen on its own. It needs fuel, a lot of it. And the government stepped in with a massive 1-2 punch. First came the GI Bill, and then, a little later, the Interstate Highway Act. These two things together literally paved the way for millions to pack up and leave the city behind for good.
The GI Bill was the key. For an entire generation of veterans, it unlocked the door to home ownership with these incredible government-backed loans. We're talking low interest, sometimes with zero money down. This wasn't just a housing program, this was a government-stamped ticket to the middle class. It gave millions of working people a chance to build real wealth, something that was totally out of reach for their parents.
But here's the thing about that golden ticket. It came with some very, very fine print. And that fine print leads to a question that completely flips the script on the happy story of the suburbs. What happens when the dream is for everyone, except people who look like you?
You see, that suburban dream was incredibly powerful, but it was far from universal. While one part of America was building brand new homes and brand new wealth, another was being systematically locked out. The walls they put up weren't always made of bricks and mortar, but believe me, they were just as real.
This is how they did it. The policy was called Redlining, and it's exactly what it sounds like. The federal government, along with banks, literally drew red lines on maps around entire neighborhoods. If you lived inside that red line, you were considered a hazardous investment, too risky for a loan. And guess which neighborhoods got colored red time and time again? You guessed it, Black communities. This wasn't just prejudice, it was official, written-down policy.
So let that sink in. A Black soldier serves his country in World War II, comes home, and the GI Bill is supposed to be his reward. But when he goes to the bank, the door is slammed in his face. And even if, by some miracle, he got a loan, the brand new suburbs often had something called racially restrictive covenants. These were legal documents that literally said you could not sell a house in that neighborhood to a Black family. We weren't just building suburbs, we were building two different Americas, separate and profoundly unequal.
And please don't think for a second this is just ancient history. Those lines drawn on maps 80 years ago are still shaping our world right now. Those formerly red-line neighborhoods, which were starved of capital and investment for decades, still have lower average incomes and lower home values today. This was never just about buying a house. It was about systematically blocking generations of families from the #1 way Americans build wealth.
You know, digging into this stuff isn't about pointing fingers. It's about understanding how we got here, so we can have an honest shot at building a better future. If you think that kind of understanding is important, do us a favor and hit the like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps us keep telling these hidden stories that shape our world.
But the story doesn't stop there. This massive suburban experiment had other side effects, consequences that would ripple out and affect everybody, whether you lived in a new suburb or one of the cities left behind. Let's talk about the true cost of sprawl.
As suburbs exploded outward, this really strange thing started to happen. Metro areas were getting physically bigger, covering more and more land, but often the total population wasn't really growing. It was just spreading out, like butter scraped over way too much toast. And this hollowing out of the city at the center, it was absolutely devastating.
Take a look at these numbers from Cleveland. It's pretty wild. Between 1970 and 1990, the population of the entire metro area actually shrank by 6%. But the amount of developed land, subdivisions, strip malls, it grew by over 30%. Let that sink in. Fewer people taking up way more space. That is sprawl without growth, and it left cities with less tax money to take care of more and more problems. And the end result of that hollowing out?
Well, you get a city like Detroit, an American powerhouse that once had almost 2 million people. Today, roughly a third of the land inside the city is just vacant, empty lots. The very fabric of the city has been torn apart.
And what about life out in the suburbs? The dream of that easy commute on the brand new highway? Yeah, that turned into a nightmare pretty fast. In Chicago, the average commuter in 1982 lost about 18 hours a year to traffic. Today, it's 70 hours a year. 70! The highway that promised freedom became a cage.
And then there was the social cost. Those long commutes, those neighborhoods built around garages instead of front porches, it meant we saw less of each other. Fewer spontaneous conversations, fewer block parties. Sociologists have a term for this. They call it a loss of social capital, the bonds that hold a community together. It turns out the private kingdom of a backyard came at the cost of the public square.
So let's add it up. We've got segregation, decaying cities, soul-crushing traffic, and public isolation. This wasn't some natural disaster. This was the result of choices we made, of designs we approved. And that brings us to the most important question of all. If we engineered our way into this, can we engineer our way out?
And the answer, thankfully, seems to be yes. All across the country, a new wave of planners, architects, and just regular citizens are challenging that old suburban model. They're trying to figure out how to heal the old divisions and create communities that are more sustainable, more fair, and more connected.
Two of the biggest ideas you'll hear about are called smart growth and new urbanism. Now, they're a little different, but they share the same basic goal: to build communities for people, not just for cars. New urbanism is all about the design. The core idea is simple. Let's go back to building walkable neighborhoods instead of isolated subdivisions. Imagine a place where your home, a coffee shop, a small grocery store, and a park are all within a 5-minute walk. It's about putting people first and cars second. Smart growth is more focused on the big picture, the where and how we build. The idea is to stop the endless outward expansion. Instead of building another subdivision out in a cornfield, let's reinvest in the cities and towns we already have. Let's create more housing choices and protect our open spaces. It's about building smarter, not just farther. And some of the solutions are truly radical. Get this, some cities are actually tearing down their highways. The same freeways that were blasted through the middle of neighborhoods decades ago are being removed and replaced with streets and parks, literally stitching the fabric of the city back together. You know, the original suburban dream wasn't a mistake. It was an answer to the very real problems of the crowded, industrial city of the early 20th century. It solved some of those problems, but in the process, it created a whole new set of challenges for us. The question isn't whether the old dream was good or bad. The question is, what's our dream supposed to be today? The suburb was arguably the most successful American design of the last 100 years. But it was a design with deep flaws. A design that left too many people out and cost our cities dearly. So the challenge for our generation is this. Can we take everything we've learned and redesign the places we live? Can we finally engineer an American dream that truly has room for everyone?